I'm making a massive mech combat game in Unity. You can expect small-scale skirmishes as well as epic sprawling battles and a struggle for conquest across an entire star cluster. My name is Matthew, and this is Drop Command devlog number 8. I've been making excellent progress since the last devlog, and I have a lot to show you today. I've split the video into 3 segments. First, what's new in Drop Command, then what is our greatest game design challenge, and finally, what is coming next for Drop Command. I'll start by talking about what's new to the game. We have a lot more than usual to go over today, since I decided to postpone this devlog to squeeze a few extras in. We have some new VFX to go over, there's an updated targeting computer, a new mission type, heat mechanics, some new weapons in the game, a new mech, and finally, an in-game map. One of the advantages to using the Unity HD render pipeline is that we can make some awesome visual effects. I've been feeling like the battlefield is missing something critical. The wreckage from destroyed mechs helps to sell the feeling of an evolving battle, but it felt a little bit lifeless without a more dynamic element. To help with this, I added fire and smoke visual effects, which now form part of the battlefield narrative. Are you tired of looking at confusing health bars in an outdated targeting computer? You aren't sure which leg is which when fighting a wolf spider mech? Now you can be confident when you fire off that alpha strike. Introducing the new and improved targeting computer Mark II, now with advanced wireframe topography, damage to color spectral imaging, real-time range to target tracking, and full scan weapon readouts. Whether you're a mech pilot or a dropship captain, this is the targeting computer for you. Upgrading the targeting computer has been on my to-do list for several months now. I was held back from getting this working, mostly because of the inner workings of the Unity game engine. Specifically, the Unity physics system uses layers to separate which objects can interact with each other. At the same time, the Unity rendering system uses the same layers to determine what objects are rendered by the cameras. This would only be a minor inconvenience if objects could be assigned to more than one layer at a time. Unfortunately, they can't, so a workaround was necessary. What I ended up doing was creating a duplicate mesh for each game object that you can see by the targeting computer. It's not at all efficient, but it does work. Even if I don't like this inefficient solution, I am very happy with how it looks, and I think this might be close to the final version of the targeting computer. Something that is still missing from the targeting computer is an IFF indicator. Sometimes the battlefield can get pretty hectic, and distinguishing friend from foe can be quite the struggle. I think a targeting computer indicator would help with this. I haven't decided on the best way to communicate the info to the player. Maybe a colored box that shows green for friendly, red for foe? I'm not sure, we'll see. In the previous devlog, I introduced the first mission type in the game, a simple squad versus squad scenario. Now I'm ready to show off the second mission type. This one is somewhat more involved. You're tasked with a combat patrol where you'll follow a series of waypoints and check each of them for signs of enemy activity. You'll destroy any opposition encountered, and you'll dust off when all of the waypoints have been checked and cleared. Adding the combat patrol mission type was a natural next step for mission development. It allowed me to work on a new AI state, the ambush AI. In this AI state, a squad will remain powered down and undetectable to electronic systems. The squad waits until it is in optimal striking distance of an enemy unit before springing its ambush. Of course, if the squad is discovered early, they will be quick to activate and engage. The new mission type also let me start work on the navigation computer. This system will track mission waypoints and guide the player across the battlefield. One of the strangest things I've had to program for this game so far is a Greek letter dictionary. Each waypoint needs a name, and I decided to go with the Greek letter naming convention, moving through Alpha and Beta and on up to Omega. Aside from adding the combat patrol mission type, I also added procedural objectives and objective tracking. For now, this is displayed as an ugly text list down the right-hand side of the screen. Later, I'll have to find a better way of showing this info to the player. At the very least, it needs to be sorted and color-coded by in progress, failed, and completed. After feedback from all of you, I've decided to add heat mechanics to Drop Command. I think you'll be very happy with the results. Firing weapons and using jump jets produce excess heat, which vents over time. Some weapons are high heat, some are low heat. The higher heat cost weapons tend to have large upsides to balance their additional cost. They might have higher damage, or better accuracy, or longer range. Or there might be a utility weapon like the ground attack missiles. There are now planetary and environmental ambient temperatures which affect heat sink efficiency. Being on a planet near to a hot star will be much worse for your heat dissipation than being on a distant planet around a cold star. Likewise, a scorched desert will have much worse heat properties than a frozen tundra. Currently, a mech has a maximum heat threshold and a base heat dissipation efficiency. Both of these are determined by the number of heat sinks that the mech has equipped. The heat efficiency is modified by the environment and also by the pilot's heat efficiency skill. Later, I will split the heat functionality between heat sinks for heat dissipation and heat capacitors for increased maximum heat threshold. When a mech reaches a heat level higher than its maximum, the mech will begin to take damage in the heat capacitor locations. So if you have heat capacitors in your center torso, that's where the heat damage is going to be located. The higher the heat, the more damage the mech will take. If the mech reaches 10% above its maximum threshold, the mech will be forced into shutdown until the heat reaches safe operating levels. Of course, I'm going to need to put a lot of work into balancing the different weapons and heat costs, but that will wait until after the next iteration on mech hardpoints, where I'm going to be adding utility hardpoints for heat sinks, heat capacitors, and ammo bins. With the new heat mechanics come new weapons. The Mech Heavy Flamer and the Infantry Light Flamer are two weapons along the same theme. Punish an opponent for running their heat high. In a lot of ways, a shutdown mech is a dead mech. Along with the new Flamer weapons, I've been working on adding weapon damage multipliers. In particular, the Flamer is a low damage weapon. However, when wielded against infantry units, it can be horribly devastating. The new damage multipliers also allowed me to balance the anti-air flak cannon to totally wreck air units like VTOLs, while being a slightly more moderate weapon against armored mechs and tanks. One of my goals for the weapon design in Drop Command is to make sure that there's no best weapon in the game, and instead make sure that each weapon is the best weapon for a particular situation. That way, units can be built to serve specific battlefield roles, and this should serve to increase the strategic depth of the game. Another weapon being added is a new heavy missile. Previously, you've seen the UM-18, which is a fire and forget style volley of 18 unguided medium-range missiles. Now, we have the much more powerful but shorter range heavy unguided missiles. There's the infantry carried Hum-1 as well as the mech mounted Hum-3. The Hum missiles are high explosive and high damage. These missiles are particularly effective in hidden run style precision attacks since they cost more heat per damage than the UM-18s and have a reduced missile spread arc. Alright, we've talked about the new heat mechanics and we've talked about a few new weapon systems. Now I want to talk about Drop Command's newest mech. If you've played Mech Shuffle, you'll be instantly able to recognize the Dodo Light Mech. It specializes in fast hidden run style attacks, and with its twin flamers it can shut down even the heaviest of mechs when it can catch them alone. Some Dodo variants carry twin rapid-fire cannons, while others opt to carry the heavy unguided missiles to supplement their flamers. The Dodo is currently the fastest unit in the game, and this makes it an excellent scout and the perfect mech choice for harassment and flank attacks. The Dodo can struggle when facing VTOL units, however, which can often outrange and overpower it. The mech also lacks the powerful armor of heavier mechs, making it weak when outnumbered or when faced with a sustained firefight. Against infantry, the Dodo dishes as much as it takes. The flamers make short work of infantry units, however, the heavy missile packs often carried by power armor can wreak havoc on the Dodo's fragile legs. A wolf pack of Dodo mechs is a fearsome foe to meet on any battlefield. The last new addition to the game that I want to talk about today is the battle map. I'm sure you've noticed that there is now a mini-map in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. The battle map is a work in progress, and you can expect it to change quite a lot over the coming year. Powered down units won't show up on the map, so you'll need to be careful to avoid ambushes. Unit icons on the map display unit types such as infantry, mech, tank, VTOL, or dropship. A heading indicator over each unit means that you can see at a glance where each unit is facing. Color coding of units tells you whether you're looking at a friendly in blue, squad mates in green, a player piloted unit in gold, or an enemy unit in red. The map also displays mission objective data. For now that means a target symbol for designated destroyed targets and a waypoint symbol for each visited and unvisited objective location. That's it for the main additions to the game for this devlog. Now I want to talk about the current issues and challenges that I'm trying to work through. There are plenty of bugs in the game right now, and some of them have been around for far too long. I'm going to have to spend some time just ironing out all the wrinkles. An excellent example has to do with the way I implemented projectile weapons. They don't use trigger colliders, instead they use regular colliders. This simplified the logic for the weapon damage scripts. The obvious issue is that the colliders can interact physically with other objects. Normally, this is pretty easy to solve. You could just add the projectiles to a projectile physics layer in Unity, then you can use the physics layer matrix to specify that the projectile layer won't interact with the other layers. Unfortunately, the Unity player controller doesn't seem to care about the physics layer system. It sees a collider and it says, I can step on that, and then it steps on the projectiles like they're a staircase. This leads to ridiculous things like mechs walking on missiles as you shoot at their legs. There are a lot of little bugs like that for me to work on, and they'll require a couple of system rewrites to properly fix. I expect the individual bugs won't take too long to sort out, but since there are a lot of them now, I'll be spending a solid chunk of time working through this. So, what's next for Drop Command? Over the next month or two, I have a few things that I want to work on. I want to add more hardpoint types to the game. We have enough non-weapon equipment programmed in that we can start adding component and equipment hardpoints. I'm thinking heat sinks, heat capacitors, and ammo bins are a good place to start. I also want to modify the weapon hardpoints to have weapon size requirements. I mentioned this in the last devlog. This way, infantry will be restricted to using infantry-sized weapons, mechs will mount small and medium weapon sizes, and dropships will mount large, ship-sized weapons. This, along with the damage types, ammo requirements, and heat mechanics, mean I'm going to be adding a ton of weapon variations for the next devlog. You can expect the plasma cannon to be split into a light and a heavy version, and to cause both structure and heat damage. You can also expect weapons with limited ammunition to be balanced to either cause more damage, use less heat, or have other distinct advantages. Adding new units is becoming a staple for these devlogs. I can guarantee I'll add at least one new unit for the next one. With the different mission types starting to take shape, it is becoming very important that I get a playable and AI controllable tank added to the game. This has been on my list and I've been meaning to add one for ages now. I keep getting sidetracked by shiny new features, but no more. I will definitely be adding the first tank to Drop Command very soon. I also want to add another mission type to the game, to make use of the brand new waypoint system and the target destruction objective system. I think I'll be adding some sort of a raid type mission, where you need to destroy important pieces of infrastructure at various nav points. If you have an idea for a mission type you want to see in the game, feel free to leave suggestions in the comments below. The more the better, and if they sound awesome, I will add them to the list of mission types that we'll be adding over time. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the next devlog when it's ready. You can also check out our mech-themed card game, Mech Shuffle, which is now available on Steam. In any case, I hope you're enjoying these devlogs. The next one will be ready in about a month or two, and I can't wait to have more progress to share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.